Climate change is politics, is it not?
Science.
And so is science going to solve it? Would you like a technical solution to climate change, or would you like politicians to solve it?
I'd really appreciate it if you stop talking to us right now. We have a meeting, and this is
So
business.
you're engaging in political discourse in a foreign country as a foreigner.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Will you be?
This is also slightly harassing, and I do have police contacts if needs be. So.
Keean Bexte for Rebel News here in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm here today with none other than the climate change crusader herself, Greta Thunberg. She's in this hotel room right behind me, and I just had the pleasure of asking her a few questions. It wasn't too hard to find her. She's the only one in Edmonton driving a state-of-the-art Tesla with a New York license plate. She's here, without a doubt, to influence the Canadian general election with dark money, with foreign interests, with a foreign agenda. Frankly, we have no idea who is paying her bills, who's putting her up in nice hotels like this, who's charging her Tesla and buying her groceries. I had the opportunity to ask her a few questions. Started with a quick selfie, started fun, and then I got down to the details of why she's here instead of in Saudi Arabia or China or even India. Here's my first question to her.
Can I ask? I'm curious. 'Cause, Calgary's an oil city. Why don't you guys go to China or Saudi Arabia? Protest them.
Because right now I'm here and I stopped flying. So to go there, that would have to. But I mean, I went here because I received an invitation to go here.
Now, I don't know if you know this, but Alberta is a province in Canada. It has the third largest oil reserves in the world. And the oil that we produce here in Alberta is the most ethically produced oil on the planet. We respect the rights of workers, we respect the environment, and we respect Indigenous consultation here.
If I received an invitation to go to China, I would of course go to China.
Now, she said she would go to China as long as she had an invitation. Well, I've got news for you, Greta. You can't go to the People's Republic of China and criticize them because they're a dictatorship. You're not going to get an invitation, but you're welcome to criticize them from the safety of Canada or from the safety of Sweden. You could go to India and criticize them for their disgusting pollution of their waterways and for the damage that they're doing to the Pacific and Indian Oceans. You could go there, but you won't. Why is that, Greta?
How dare you!
Come to Alberta and criticize the most ethically produced oil in the world. Why not deal with the big problems first, the huge emitters like China, Saudi Arabia, and India? Well, I think I know the answer. Whoever's paying your bills, whoever's giving your dad money, it's simply not on their agenda. Now, I didn't come here primarily to ask Greta tough questions. She's a 16-year-old and she has severe mental illnesses. Don't take it from me, take it from her.
So when I was 11, I became ill. I fell into depression. I stopped talking and I stopped eating. In 2 months, I lost about 10 kilos of weight. Later on, I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome, OCD, and selective mutism.
So I wanted to ask her dad why he and the dark foreign interests who are paying all of her bills and sending her across the Atlantic Ocean and across our continent, why they are taking advantage of a vulnerable 16-year-old. Here's his answer.
Do you think that it's appropriate to have a child who you've talked about mental illness and be exploiting it in such a way?
Sorry, I think we can
We're actually working.
Yeah.
Taking her around the country, sort of, whoever gives you a Tesla, do you think that that's appropriate when you've talked about Greta's mental illness?
I don't have a mental illness.
So you don't have severe autism? That's sort of
not
was
an
the...
illness.
So you think that it's completely acceptable to be bringing a 16-year-old across the country?
I brought him actually.
Yeah.
Now, perhaps the most important question that I asked this crew was why they came here in the middle of our federal election and whether or not they registered as a third-party advertiser. Greta is here in Edmonton to stage a major protest at City Hall tomorrow. It's part of her Friday climate strikes, and it lines up almost perfectly with the end of our federal elections. Most likely, it's a rally to get the vote out for their NDP and Green Party friends. Take a listen to how they responded to this question.
So will you be disclosing your finances? Will you be telling us who is paying for your trip, your Tesla, and bringing you to our country in the middle of an election?
Thank you very much. I'm paying.
You're paying for everything. You pay for the Tesla?
No one's paying for
Tesla
it.
was borrowed.
You bought the Tesla for free.
You borrowed the Tesla for free from New York.
Yeah,
Well,
from
have
Arnold
you-
Schwarzenegger.
Have you registered as a third-party advertiser coming to this country in the middle of an election period?
Thank you.
It's the middle of an election, you understand that. Have you registered as a third-party advertiser?
I'm sure she will not talk about the elections at all.
I will not.
Yeah.
I have never mentioned the election.
The climate, you understand that climate change is a pivotal policy, is a ballot box
We're
question in
actually
this election.
working right now, so
This is a ballot box question, this election, and you're rallying, you're doing you're engaging in our political discourse
I've never
as a
spoken
foreigner.
about politics.
Climate change is politics, is it
No,
not?
it's science.
And so is science going to solve it? Would you like a technical solution to climate change, or would you like politicians to
I'd
solve
really
it?
appreciate it if you stop talking to us right now. We have a meeting, and this is
So you're
business.
engaging in political discourse in a
we-
foreign country as a foreigner.
appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Will you be
This is also slightly harassing, and I do have police contacts if needs be. So
will you be
we're gonna
disclosing
be
your
going-
finances, and will you be registering as a third-party operative? Will you be registering as a third-party operative?
Please, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now, right when I ask a tough question that Greta can't answer, there's no way she would be able to answer that question because really she's not on the administrative side of this campaign. She's just there to answer really easy puffball questions in press conferences. And right when I asked that question, the default response was, we're going to call the cops. We have them on speed dial. Well, I'm sorry, honey, this is Canada, this is Alberta, and we don't call the cops on journalists here. Just ask Anne McGrath, a failed NDP candidate from Calgary who used to be a communist. She tried to call the cops on me for asking tough questions and it didn't pan out well for her. But really, let's break down what just happened there. I asked her what their foreign interests are. I asked them if they were registered as third-party advertisers, and their response was to call the cops because that's their sore spot. They don't want to disclose that because they know that if we knew who was funding them, we wouldn't pay them any time. Now, I want to point something else out to you. Look at this guy's face. His name is Rob Liddell. He's a BBC activist, the state broadcaster in the United Kingdom. He, for some reason, has come all the way, not on a boat, mind you, on a plane, he's come all the way to Alberta to stage this child actor in this BBC reality show that I heard them talking about. It's to change the hearts and minds of Canadians and North Americans to get off of fossil fuels and to embrace the agendas of the Green Party and the NDP and every left-wing party on our continent. Look at his face. My question to him is,
How dare you?
exploit a mentally vulnerable 16-year-old and come to the most ethically produced oil and gas reserves in the entire world and tell us how to live our lives. When you're from the United Kingdom, you live in a democracy and you could be criticizing China, you could be criticizing India and Saudi Arabia and Venezuela, but no, you come here to criticize us.
How dare you?
If you support the work that we're doing here at The Rebel, we do it a little bit differently than the mainstream media. We don't like asking scripted questions at press conferences that Greta Thunberg can give her scripted answers to. We like to ask tough questions, questions that wouldn't be approved by press galleries and the CBC and the BBC and CNN. We ask the tough questions, and I hope you enjoyed the coverage that we gave you here tonight. If you did, I encourage you to go to howdareyou.ca and support the work that we're doing. We're following Greta as she goes across Canada. And from what we heard, she's going to Jasper next. Not sure what she's doing there. They were really concerned, actually, funny story. They were worried that their Tesla wouldn't be able to work in the cold mountain temperatures of Jasper, Alberta. I think that's kind of funny. They want everyone to buy a smart car. They want everyone to buy a battery-operated car, but they know deep down that it just doesn't work in countries like Canada. Now, I want to know, Greta, I know you're watching this, and I know your father's watching this, and whichever foreign interests are funneling you dark money to come influence our federal election,
How dare you?
I encourage you to go to howdareyou.ca and support the work that we're doing to uncover the dark money and the foreign interests bringing Greta Thunberg to Canada, to Alberta, at the eve of our general election. For Rebel News, I'm Keean Bexte. Thank you so much for watching our coverage here at Rebel News. I encourage you to go to howdareyou.ca and support the work that we're doing.